Hey there, how's it going? My name is Todd Rayner, and this is my ELP presentation. I call it Death by 126 Emails. Now, I bet that number sounds familiar, but we're going to get into it a little bit more later and why it's so critical. So I was in a meeting last Friday. We're doing a wine list workshop, and there was a director who said, I know we have no time. And I thought that was really interesting. Um, we hear people being overwhelmed all the time. We hear people who can't find a critical piece of information in text and chat and Teams, was it on a phone call? I had someone the other day say, hey, were we having a conversation about this or did I dream that? People dream about stuff because they care about it. People care about the work that they're doing here at Southern. And I think that creates a lot of the challenges that we really have to address as an organization if we want to be competitive in the future. And I do think that what we're going to walk into here later, is going to really manifest itself as an actual threat to our organization. You know, there are people in our organization who expect a reply within an hour of when they send an email. I talked to someone in another state in New York earlier today who told me exactly that people get frustrated when they don't reply back to an email within an hour. I know that there are people who work 70 or 80 hours a week. They take their whole, they get started at 8 or 9 in the morning, they work, 8, 9 hours, and then they have dinner and they spend a little time with family and they get back after it at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and working for another 2 or 3 hours. And we shouldn't be shocked that that is going on. And we also shouldn't be shocked at the results of it, which are, what we're going to talk about here in a little bit later. So an SGWS knowledge worker, that's somebody like me, that's somebody like a director level, that's a trade development manager, that's sales consultant. They send or receive 126 emails per day. That is one every 4 minutes. The interesting thing is that they also spend 15 minutes in that same hour transitioning back from the email to the value-added text. Actually, every 64 seconds is about 16 minutes an hour. So they're spending half of their hour or 30 minutes working on something that actually increases our ROI. Now, if we can figure out a way to get them to spend 45 minutes an hour, or myself included, or to spend 50 minutes an hour dealing with things that increase ROI, I think we might be onto something. And there's a lot of magic there. So let's assume a magical world where there's no meetings during a given day. Let's assume that I've got 20 tasks or projects on my list and 15 minutes apiece to complete them. Now, that is a dream world too, because I think I have 75 items on my particular list in any given time. So, a worker needs about 5 uninterrupted hours to get that done. But based on the calculus in the slide before, you only get 3.75 hours on a meeting-free day, which of course does not exist. That's almost 6.25 additional hours per week, 3.5 additional days per month, and almost 8 weeks per year. Are we shocked that anybody is taking a little bit of their own time they're supposed to be spending with friends or family and recharging to do some work just so they can have their head above water for one sweet breath on one Friday every once in a while? I'm not shocked with that at all. How does this impact Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits? Well, we are overworked. We have high stress levels because of that, and it decreases employee satisfaction, increases burnout, and in the longer term, increases talent loss, which is a threat to the viability and success in the long term for our organization. That's a tragedy. And the really sad part about this is that people do all this stuff because they care. So we have a population of employees that really, really cares about this place. And they care so much that they will trade their personal time for work. And I think we can do better for them. And I think it's a systems thing. So what is the problem? The problem, in my opinion, is unregulated email workflow. And what I mean by that is we have email coming in, we have lots of chatter and stuff like that always going on at work, but we don't actually have a way to manage it. So you know what people do is they make up their own way to manage it. Some people use a bullet journal, some people use tasks on proof, others use the old notebook and the to-do list. I know someone who's has more post-it notes than you've ever seen in the world. It's like a rainbow of post-it notes around there. But studies show that as time on email increases, productivity goes down and stress levels go up. That creates all the things we talked about on the prior slide. So there are solutions out here, and I believe they will decrease email duration and limit task switching. There are companies out there doing things like this right now who have solutions to this, and I believe that for Southern, especially in an industry that sometimes is kind of old school, that can be a new competitive advantage and can reverse all the negative things on the prior slide. Our responsibility as managers, in my opinion, is to regulate how work flows how work flows through our organization. That doesn't mean we're going to do a job for somebody or tell them exactly how to do that job. I think that's part of it, sure, but I think our job is to regulate how it flows to the organization, and I think we can do a much better job of that. So a family value solution might look a little bit like this. Let's say we pick 3 or 4 states to come up with solutions to this, and they present them to executive level leadership, and then we kind of test out these solutions. Let's kick the tires a little bit, measure productivity, measure stress, present those results, and let's see which ones we like the best and which ones actually work the best, and let's let states vote on them, and let's move forward to a better Southern that has a competitive advantage and with increased ROI and happier employees in the future. These are just a couple of guidelines I think that are critical for a good solution. Got to be easy to review what's going on as far as work. Work should be able to unfold without significant amounts of asynchronous, unscheduled communication. That's exactly what email is. That's exactly what things like Chatter and Teams are. And then we have to have a way to update work and update assignments. That's critical because things change. We're going to continue to evolve and add work to the list. That's what we're doing. We're moving forward. So we have to have those things on as part of our solution guidelines. Leadership is really, really critical to this. I would invite leaders to be part of a team that I would be happy to lead researching this project, these projects. I think leaders need to challenge, they need to cheerlead, and they need to help be part of the solution. I think that's a big, big part of all of this. The good thing about all of this is that work can be better. One solution could have a couple of hours of quiet, uninterrupted time at the beginning of each workday where bothering other people is not part of how we work. We let people get stuff done at Southern. I can imagine a world where people are spending more time working because people can easily check on the status of things that matter to them on a task board like Trello or Microsoft Project. I can imagine a world where we walk out of Southern at 5 or 5:30, whenever your workday ends, and your workday actually ends, a true digital sunset at 5 p.m. I think that is something that some industries have figured out and that we can figure out. And I think if we do, it is a huge competitive advantage for us. I think we can overhear some new things at Southern in the future, where people enjoy their vacations and truly unplug and recharge, where bosses and coworkers can find everything they need about projects in one place, where people can check in and know where statuses are without interrupting so that work continues to flow. And I feel like more importantly than anything, that we can have a workplace that's even happier. Thank you so much.